恭请大德圣听，为此法会记一觉众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，顺真无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo saranto suchetoye alahati sanmiao sanputoche. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in a billion eons. But now we see and hear it, and accept it reverently, when we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Venerable Master, and all good knowing advisors, welcome back to this week's exploration of the Medicine Master Buddha Sutra. Before we go any further, let's recite Medicine Master Buddha's name 7 times. I'm going to again invite everyone in joining me putting our palms together. Namo, quelling disasters, lending life, Medicine Master Buddha. 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 Medicine Master does come one, Medicine Master does come one, Medicine Master does come one, Medicine Master does come one. All right, let me get to this slide. Okay. So where are we at the sutra? Today we're going to recite the sutra passage that we are on. And then I will explain what we're going to do. Okay. Let me see. Do we need to recite? Okay, let's recite. It's been some time since we recited the sutra. So I'm going to also put my palms together for this. If you have the book, that's the one with the hardcover. It's blue in color and it has Shifu's commentary after the sutra text. We are on page 10. So I call this section those who practice, but their resolve may not be firm. So what does Shakyamuni Buddha have to say about this? He says, Manjushri, there may be among the fourfold assembly of bhikshus, bhikshunis, upasakas, and upasikas, as well as other good men and women of pure faith who accept and uphold the 8 precepts either for 1 year or for 3 months, practicing and studying them. So I hope this is all of us listening in. It says, with these good roots, they may vow to be born in the western land of ultimate bliss, where the Buddha of limitless life dwells, or Amitabha Buddha. It says to hear the proper Dharma, but their resolve may not be firm. However, if they hear the name of the world-honored one, medicine master Vaidurya like Tathagata, then as the end of their lives draws near, before them will appear 8 great Bodhisattvas, whose names are Manjushri Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva who observes the sounds of the world, Great Strength Bodhisattva, Inexhaustible Intention Bodhisattva, Jewel Udumbara Flower Bodhisattva, Medicine King Bodhisattva, Medicine Superior Bodhisattva, and Maitreya Bodhisattva. Those 8 great Bodhisattvas will appear in space to show them the way, and they will naturally be born by transformation in that land amid precious flowers of a myriad colors. Or they may be born in the heavens due to this cause. Although reborn in the heavens, their original good roots will not be exhausted, so they will not fall into the evil destinies again. When their life in the heavens ends, they will be born among people again. They may be wheel-turning kings, reigning over the 4 continents with awesome virtue and ease, bringing uncountable hundreds of thousands of living beings to abide in the practice of the 10 good deeds. Or they may be born as Kshatriyas, Brahmans, laymen, or sons of honorable families. They will be wealthy, with storehouses filled with overflowing. Handsome in appearance, they will be surrounded by a great retinue of relatives. They will be intelligent and wise, courageous and valiant, like great and awesome knights. If a woman hears the sound of the world-honored one, medicine master Vaidurya like Tathagata, and sincerely cherishes it, in the future she will never again be born as a female. Okay, so what we've done in this part of the sutra, which we have already kind of explained, is we are using this segment of the sutra to look at the Buddhist cosmos, what is known as the 31 planes of existence. What are the 31 planes of existence? Okay, let me show you the slide which we have shared in the WhatsApp group. It shows from number 1. The number 1 starts at the bottom. So this one is not number 1 in terms of being first, but the lowest. It starts with the 8 hells. The 8 hells are combined into one. And then you go from animals, then hungry ghosts, humans, and then all the way up to the highest heaven there is. Okay, and that's the number 31. I have another slide which I'll show you right now that has a bit more information. Okay, what it has is it has the lifespan and the heights of the beings in the different realms. Okay, so the world of desire are the first 11 spheres of existence. So from right at the bottom, you have the hells and the ghosts, the animals, then humans, and asuras. And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at what the Shuranga Sutra has to say about the causes of how people are born in this realm. So how do I put it another way? What are the causes to create the conditions so that you get birth in these various realms? And after that, we'll look at because I know we said we look at the heavenly realm, but I realized that if we start with the heavenly realm, there's a lot of things that we'll miss out that will help make us understand the sutra better. It's not vital, but some of it is very interesting. It's fun, and it's helpful. And so our plan is we will look at what the Shurangama Sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha in the Shurangama Sutra has to say about how beings are born in these various realms, and then we'll also look at some of the realms, not in great detail, just to have a like an overview of the of what we are looking at when we're looking at the Buddhist cosmos. What should we know when we're looking at the Buddhist cosmos? So if you look at your screen, you will see that the heaven in the world of desire, the heaven of the four kings, has their lifespan is 500 heavenly years, and it's not a fixed lifespan. Sometimes they have some gods may have a shorter lifespan, and one heavenly year. Let me see. Just give me a moment. Let me get my notes. How do we get the equivalent of 9 million or close to 9 million, just a bit more in terms of human years? How do we get that? Well, in many texts, and Shufu explained, it says 1 day in this heaven of the four kings is equivalent to 50 human years. So if you have spiritual abilities and you fly yourself to the heaven of the four kings and you spend there 1 full day there, when you come back to earth, 50 years would have gone past. Whether it feels like 50 human years to you in heaven or not, that I do not know. But basically 1 day in the heaven is equivalent to 50 human years. So 500 heaven years, you times by 365 days, and then you times that by 50 human years, you get it's equivalent to 9 million years. So a heavenly god has an average lifespan that is equal to 9 million human years. And then as you go up, the lifespan increases, and so does the height of the beings. So in the heaven of the four kings, the devas there, the gods there are about almost 800 feet. They'll make great basketball players at 750 feet. And as you go up to the next heaven, the Triatrimsha heaven, which is where Lord Chakra or the Jade Emperor resides, it's also known as heaven of the 33. The lifespan doubles to 1,000 heavenly years, but there 1 day is equivalent to 100 human years. It's not 50 human years anymore, it's double. So 1 day there equivalent to 100 human years. You work it out, you get 36.5 million years, which is human years as the average lifespan. And then correspondingly, as you go up through the 6 desire heavens, you end up with 16,000 years for their lifespan, which is equivalent to, what's that? Is that 9 billion? 9.3 billion human years. Then the next heaven above that are accessible to people who practice meditation and can enter the first dhyana. So the 6 desire heavens in the world of desire is accessed not through meditation or samadhi, but is accessed through the things that you do, through the blessings that you generate. But once you get to the heaven of the first dhyana, it's a whole different ballgame, because this is where your samadhi determines if you can get into these heavens or not. So these heavens are known as the world of form, and they have 3 heavens of the first dhyana, 3 heavens of the second dhyana, 3 heavens of the third dhyana, and then as how Shufu explained, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 heavens in the 4th dhyana, but most other references only reference 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only reference 7. We have 2 extra. Shufu explained. I'm not sure what's the difference. So I have counted to be consistent with most other sources of the 31 planes of existence, and to be consistent with, the title, it says 31 planes. I've combined the 3 heavens into one number, which is the 3 lower heavens of the 4th dhyana, also known as the 5 heavens of no return. Because if you have achieved, let me see. No, okay, I don't. Okay, scrap what I just said. It's also known as the 5 heavens of no return, but I do not know the reason why it's named that. The lifespans of this heaven, like I said, is a whole different ballgame. To show you the difference between what's 9 million human years and what is 1 middle kalpa. Okay, let me move to the next slide. So on the left, we start with Heaven of the Four Kings, and this is to scale. This is to actual scale. So at 9 million years, the lifespan of the Heaven of the Four Kings do not even register on this graph. And if you look all the way to the right, the first dhyana, the multitudes of Brahma, that's 1 middle kalpa. It is the number 320 followed by, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, followed by 9 zeros. Is that trillion? Is that 320 trillion years? So anyway, if you look to the heaven just below it, called which is the 6th desire heaven, you can't really compare the lifespan. So that's the difference between the heavens where you access through samadhi or through entering the first dhyana, and this is just the first dhyana, compared to the heaven, the highest heaven that you can go to based on blessings. So in the sutras, it says a kalpa, 1 middle kalpa. What's 1 middle kalpa? 1 middle kalpa is 20 small kalpas. Okay, are you paying attention? 1 middle kalpa is 20 small kalpas. What is 1 small kalpa? 1,000 kalpas. What is 1 kalpa? 1 kalpa is equivalent to 16 million years. 1 eon. So 1 eon is 16 million years. And then there's how do we understand what is the lifespan in these heavens? Shakyamuni Buddha said, he says it's beyond human comprehension. There's just no way our minds can comprehend the amount of time. It's, I don't know, it's like going back to maybe 100 years and trying to explain to people that you have a phone or a device, like a window to the world that can access all the information in the world instantly. It carries all the books in the world, that has moving pictures and sound. You would have a very, very hard time being able to explain today's technology to people who live maybe even 50 years ago. Yeah, they would have a really hard time trying to picture in their minds what's actually going on. So Shakyamuni Buddha explains it like this. He says an eon, and this is just 1 kalpa. He says you imagine a mountain of solid rock about 6 miles high, 6 miles wide, a square. Okay, imagine a square rock, 6 miles wide, 6 miles high. And then he says, every 100 years, one person comes and just rubs this huge mass of rock with a very fine piece of cloth. That means a very smooth piece of cloth, like a piece of silk. So every 100 years. this person comes out from wherever he hides, gives the rock a wipe, and then goes back to the cave that he's hiding at. Shakyamuni Buddha says that by the time the rock is fully wiped away by this piece of cloth, one kalpa still has not ended. Just to show how beyond human conception about the length of a kalpa is. Yeah. So it's very long. So we don't even have to worry about the numbers, how many numbers and all that. We just have to know it's very, very long. All right. Okay. Next slide, I have a very interesting diagram that I found that puts the 31 planes of existence in a like a 3D form. Let me show it to you right now. So it starts where we are is almost like in the middle, number 2 to 5. That's where we are. And below are located the various hell realms. And the giant is like a wedding cake. The giant pieces of cake at the bottom are the various, what do you call what's the term for it? It's just escaped me. There's a term for the fire, air, water, earth, and space. It's not compound. The word just escaped me. But elements. It shows that where we are, our world system is supported by by this or cake shapes of the various elements. So from the bottom right up to where we are where the hell realms are located, and then going up the planes of existence, number 2 to 5 are the animals, hungry ghosts, asuras, and the humans. That's where we are. We are on the smallest slice of cake right at the top. And then the decoration that goes from the middle decoration, that's the 6 form heavens, or the 6 design heavens, from 6 to 11. So you have the heaven of the 4 kings, the Triumphant heaven, the Suyama heaven, the Tushita heaven, Nimra Narati, and the Parane Mitawa Sawatin heavens. Interesting anecdote, the Tushita heaven is where Maitreya Bodhisattva is residing now, teaching the Dharma, waiting for the right conditions for him to come back, for him to be reborn among humans to manifest the coming of the next Buddha. So the Tushita heaven, that was also where Shakyamuni Buddha resided before being manifesting birth in the human realm to become Shakyamuni Buddha. And then above that, you have the 16 form heavens, and then finally you have the 4 formless heavens, where in the 4 formless heavens, the beings there have no bodies at all. There's no form to their bodies. They are pure consciousness. Okay. Any questions for now? Okay. All right. Let's move on to what the Shuranga Sutra has to say about rebirth in the various destinies. So now we have an overview of how the 31 planes of existence are laid out, more or less, as far as our imagination can take us. And then we're going to look at what Shakyamuni Buddha has to say about what do beings do and what happens in their mind for them to be born in these various destinies. Okay. And after we're done with that, if we have enough time, we'll go into the various realms, beginning from the hell realm, a quick description of the hell realm, and then we go up from the hell realm to the heavens. I also have a ghost story from Shufu that's really wild that I hope we have time to share. Okay. Moving on. So in the Shuranga Sutra, this is what Shakyamuni Buddha has to say. It says, Ananda, all beings in all worlds are caught up in an endless succession of births and deaths. While beings are alive, they follow their natural inclinations, and upon their deaths, they follow the various currents of their karma. At the moment of death, while some warmth remains in their bodies, all the good and all the evil that they have done during their lifetime suddenly appear before them. Their inclinations are to shun death and to embrace life. Two habitual emotions that complement each other and are felt at the same time. So we have a aversion of death due to ignorance, not understanding what's going on, and we move towards life. What does that feel like? If anyone has, if you ever, okay, this is not it, but this is just my projection. If you ever gone swimming or you try to hold your breath either underwater or not, and there's a primal urge in you after a certain point that overwhelms you to push you to want to take the to inhale, to get a fresh breath of air. That's kind of how it feels like. It's beyond. It's a very deep emotion. Maybe some people might say it resides in the lizard, the part of the lizard brain that we all have, the primal urge that we have. Okay. The Buddha says beings undergo these retributions exactly in accord with the evil karma that they create. But though they have brought their retributions among themselves, they will share the same fate in the same place with other beings who have created the same karma. Okay. And then Shakyamuni goes on to, now he talks about the unrelenting hells, also known as the Avicii hells. And if you look at the arrow, this hell is located right at the bottom of the world system, right at the bottom. Shakyamuni Buddha says, when they are ruled entirely by emotion, they sink into the unrelenting hell. If, in this submerged state of mind, they have spoken ill of the Mahayana teachings or of the Buddha's precepts, if they have recklessly propounded false doctrines which they present as being in accord with Dharma, if they have greedily sought the offerings of the faithful under false pretenses, if they have shamelessly accepted undeserved reverence from others, or if they have committed the 5 unnatural crimes or the 10 major offerings, then they will be reborn in the unrelenting hell in one world after another throughout the 10 directions. What does that mean, be reborn in the unrelenting hell in one world after another? Because the amount of time that you spend in the unrelenting hell is so long, you actually outlast the world. The world system will be destroyed. There's a cycle where world systems come into being and then are destroyed. And when the world system is destroyed, you leave this Avicii hell or the unrelenting hell, and your suffering doesn't end because you are reborn in another unrelenting hell in another world system, and your suffering just continues like nothing ever happened. Yeah, it's really frightening. So there are two things that needs a bit of explanation here. Shakyamuni Buddha says there's the 5. Let me see. If you look at the second line from the bottom, it says the 5 unnatural crimes. What are the 5 unnatural crimes? It is number 1, intentionally murdering one's father. Number 2, intentionally murdering one's mother, so one's parents. Number 3 is killing an enlightened being, like an arhat, if you were to kill an arhat. Number 4 is shedding the blood of a Buddha. And this includes damaging works related to the Buddha and not limited to harming the Buddha in person. So meaning the Dharma, disparaging the Dharma, like how Shakyamuni Buddha explained. Damaging images of the Buddha, for example. And then number 5 is creating a schism within the Sangha. That means you divide the Sangha either through telling of their faults or making people fight, or you tell things that are not true to create discord and disharmony among the community of Buddhist monks and nuns who are trying their best to end suffering. So those are the 5 unnatural crimes. And then next to the 5 unnatural crimes, Shakyamuni Buddha talks about the 10 major offenses. Officially, the 10 major offenses refer to the 10 major Bodhisattva precepts. If any of you have taken the 10 major Bodhisattva precepts, in the Mahayana tradition, all monks and nuns, when they are fully ordained, the next day, they receive the Bodhisattva precepts. So what are the 10 major Bodhisattva precepts? No killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying and false speech. So far it's very similar to the 5 precepts. Number 5 is no selling alcoholic beverages. Okay. Number 6, broadcasting the faults of the assembly. That means the fourfold assembly of monks, nuns, and laymen and laywomen. If you go around broadcasting or discussing or gossiping about their faults, that's a major violation. Praising oneself and disparaging others, making yourself look good and putting other people down. And number 8 is being stingy and abusive of people. Number 9 is having anger and resentment, or maybe not having anger and resentment, but probably not realizing that you should be working at overcoming anger and resentment. Yeah. And number 10 is slandering the triple jewel, putting it down. So all these are the causes that brings one into the unrelenting hells. Another way to look at this is if you look at someone who someone who disparages the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, their lifestyle is probably not going to be full of virtue. So they create a lot of offenses, and it's they go hand in hand, and that's why they fall into the unrelenting hells or the avachi hells. Okay, so that's the lowest hell. And then if we go to the next slide, the Buddha says, if emotion is 90% of their mental activity and pure thoughts are 10%, they will fall through the disk of fire and be reborn between the disk of fire and the disk of wind. If their emotions are less weighty, they will enter a hell where suffering is intermittent. So intermittent suffering means you're not suffering every single second of your existence. You do get a respite. Shufu explains the hells as in some of the hells you are tortured to death. And although you die in those hells, Shufu says a breeze comes through the hell that magically brings you back to life. But it's not a wonderful kind of thing because it brings you back to life only to go through the same suffering again. So you do get a respite in the other hells compared to the unrelenting hells, but it's not a respite that you will really look forward to. It's not a good thing. And then you die again from the torture, and then a wind comes, wakes you up, magically restores your body back to what you thought it was, and then just to go through it all over again. So we've covered emotion and logic before. What's logic? Being able to look at your own faults, for example, is logic. Being able to understand the unwholesome things that we do compared to the potential that we have for wholesomeness. We can look at that as pure thoughts. What are emotions? Emotions are where we follow after our feelings without thinking about the consequences. So you can say that's emotion. For example, someone who's very difficult, They don't like a particular thing, and when you offer them the alternative, they get even more upset, and they deny the alternative as well, and they leave you with no options. You do this, they get upset. You do the opposite, they get even more upset because they just want to be upset. Yeah. Okay. Now let's move one realm up from the hells. Let's move one realm up to the hungry ghosts, and let's find out where the realm of hungry ghosts are within the 31 planes. Okay, they're a bit higher up. Shakyamuni Buddha says, he says, if emotion is 70% of their mental activity and pure thoughts are 30%, they will fall beneath the disk of water and will be reborn as hungry ghosts along the rim of the disk of fire. So the disk of fire is that second layer of cake from the bottom. It says they will be buffeted by the raging fire, and they will be constantly burned by the blaze and scalded by the steam. For hundreds of eons, they will have nothing to eat or drink. I think in one of our earlier classes, there was a sutta that described the realm of hungry shades or hungry ghosts, which is where these beings are. It says they are unable to, the land is such that they can't plant anything. It's a constant famine, and they experience hunger, and the karma of being a hungry ghost is such that water appears to them as fire. How do we understand that? How can the same element appear differently to different beings? Well, you can see that in us. For example, water is very refreshing. When you're thirsty, water is really nice, especially if it's cool. But if you have a really, really bad sore throat, if you're sick and you have a very bad sore throat, then even a sip of water burns. You try to avoid drinking water because it's not going to be pleasant. So that's one way of understanding how karmic conditions alter our perception of our reality. Yeah. Okay. Moving. So what's next after hungry ghosts? Moving up the 31 planes, we have the realm of animals, and this realm of animals, the arrow moves up to where we are as well. Shakyamuni Buddha says, if beings have more emotion than pure mental activity, they will be reborn in the realm of animals. If their emotions are of greater weight, they will become fur-bearing beasts. And if their emotions are of lesser weight, they will become winged creatures. So that's the difference between being born bound to the land or probably the sea. I'm not sure about sea animals. But if you have slightly more reason or pure mental activity than emotion than the rest of them, then you become birds that can fly in the sky. Okay, according to Shufu, I don't remember where I read this. He says, birds like to fly and look down on everyone else and say, oh, look at us, we are so great. We can fly. Everyone else can't fly. So that's birds. Okay. Moving up. Okay. One step up, you have us, humans. And this is where if our pure mental activity and our emotions are equal in strength, then we don't fall, but we don't rise either, and we are born in the human realm. Shakyamuni Buddha says, the brighter their thoughts, the greater their intelligence will be. The darker their emotions, the duller their wits will be. So that's why we have so many different kinds of variations among humans. Actually, within every single realm, like the hungry ghosts, the hells, and then as we move on, we'll discover more and more. Like the animal realm. The animal realm is really a good example because we have so many different varieties of species of animals, insects. Until today, we are still discovering new species that previously we did not officially recognize them or take note of them, but they were always there. Very, they have different ways of being brought into existence through the womb, through the egg. Some are by transformation, like caterpillars transform into butterflies and moths. Some are moisture born, so they're different. Within each realm, there are endless variations. Okay, so now from humans, where do we go? We move one step up. To what step? I call this a spiritual Dharma protectors. Let's read what Shakyamuni Buddha has to say. He says, if pure mental activity is dominant in their minds, but some emotion is also present, they will soar upward, that means above the human realm, but not as far. Not as far meaning you don't officially go to the first heaven. So who you become? It says they may become flying ascetic masters or ghost kings or great power, or flying yakshas or rakshasas that travel along the ground. Such beings roam unhindered in the heaven of in the heaven of the four celestial kings. Further, beings may have made wholesome vows or simply have an wholesome intent to be protective of the Dharma. Such beings will become close disciples who will sit at the feet of the Dustcommons. So this category also includes the, let me see, I don't have the right term, the six, what do you call it, the six, sorry, let me get my notes. It is known as the, not six, sorry, eight. The eightfold division of ghosts and spirits is in this this realm. Yeah. We'll go into them further, but just a quick summary before we go into the next realm. They are devas or the gods. Then you have the asuras or the titans. You have the gandharvas, the kinnaras, the nagas, the yakshas, the garudas, and the mahoragas. These are known as the eightfold division of ghosts and spirits. And there's another division that I discovered called sea monsters. I don't know where to place these sea monsters, maybe in the animal realm, but they are supernatural animals, kind of like the dragons, classified as animals, but not like the animals that we are familiar with. Okay, so let's move on to the next level, the next level up, which are the heavens and also the pure land. So Shakyamuni Buddha says, if pure mental activity alone is present in their minds, what does this mean? Being able to sit in samadhi, for example, where your mind is still, so that's pure mental activity, you're very concentrated. It says they will soar upward and will be certain to be born in the heavens. Your rebirth in the heavens is assured. It says, while in this soaring state of mind, if they have both blessings and wisdom, and if they have vowed to be reborn in a pure land, their minds will naturally open and they will see the Buddhas of the 10 directions. They will be reborn in any of the pure lands in accordance with their wish. So that's really amazing. If, for example, like the Amitabha Sutra, it says you can recite Amitabha's name single-mindedly for 7 days and 7 nights, and someone who practices the Pure Land would also accumulate blessings and wisdom through their practice. So this is what happens if you want to be born in the Pure Land. And in this section of the sutra that we just read, if you are not escorted by the 8 great Bodhisattvas to one of the Pure Land of your choice, then you'll be born in one of the higher heavens. Yeah. So let me see. Okay, going back to the past slide. Okay, for this slide, there's some notes which I haven't read. For the spiritual Dharma protectors, what are the wholesome intents? Shufu says that they may have vowed to defend the precepts and to protect people who hold the precepts. And we will see this in the later part of the Medicine Master Buddha Sutra. There's a section where the 12 Yaksha generals, towards the end of the sutra, they tell the Buddha that they have instructed their retinue to protect everyone where the Medicine Master Buddha Sutra is found and where people practice the Dharma. So that's one. Number two, so yakshas can also, so this passage about yakshas becoming Dharma protectors is that. And it says, they may have vowed to be protective of mantras and to guard beings who recite mantras. So people who hold the precepts, people who recite mantras, says, or they may have vowed to defend the practice of meditation and stillness. And anyone who practices meditation, it says, and who are likely to encounter aspects of the Dharma that are new to them. I think this means the different states that you encounter through your meditation. As you break down the fabric of reality through your concentration, you journey through the 5 skandhas. In the Shuranga Sutra, the Buddha outlines the 50 skandha demon states. These demons actually become your Dharma protecting guardians. So Shakyamuni Buddha says that this kind of beings become close disciples of the Buddha who will sit at the feet of the Daskam one, which is really nice. Imagine being able, as the Buddha lectures, you sit right at his feet, right there next to him. Okay. Okay, so what we have next, I'm going to end this slideshow for now. Let me replace it with something a bit more pleasing. Okay, what we'll do next week is we will look at a quick description of the different realms, and this will be from the 10 Dharma realms that Shufu gave us. And we'll move from the hell realm to the hungry ghost realm, to the animal realm, to the human realms, and then from the human realm, we move to the Eightfold division of gods and spirits, which is very interesting. And then we move all the way up to the heavens. Okay, and for now we have 10 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions while I pull up the story about ghosts? Shufu gave us this story after he lectured on the 10 Dharma realms. Okay. Yes, Hilda.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
Can we have also a way of describing, according to the level of delusions, how the practitioner, the path of the different practitioners according to the numbers of the delusions as described, like Sotapannas and Pratyeka Buddhas, all of those? Could that be included in the class, next class?
Yeah, sure. As coincidence might have it, it was only yesterday that in one of my other classes or discussion groups that we kind of talked about that, and I already have the notes. It's either known as the 88 view delusions. Actually, there's more than 88. What Hilda has just talked about is the level of delusions or fetters that you discard as you go through the stages of arhatship, as you progress. Hilda, I think a good opportunity to do that, that's a very good idea, will be when we move to the heavens of the formless heavens, form and formless heavens. because my plan wasn't to really go into those heavens in detail, but we'll use that opportunity to look at to introduce either the 10 fetters or the various view delusions that are discarded as someone progresses from a first stage arhat all the way to a fourth stage arhat. Okay. Thank you.
Amitabha.
Yeah, thanks for that, Hilda. Anyone else? No, if you have, you can do it in the chat box. Okay, so this story is titled As You Wish, Demon Woman. So Shufu says that this person was a ghost that was destroyed or shattered by thunder during the Zhou dynasty. I have no idea when the Zhou dynasty is. And then Shufu says she's after that she started to practice a kind of magic that protected her from thunder. And once she mastered this magic, she felt safe, and then she went around causing trouble. But Shufu had an encounter with her, and she ended up taking refuge with Shufu and the Triple Jewel, and she became a Dharma protector, which is one of the things that we just talked about. But this is Shufu's actual experience, as told by Shufu himself. So Shufu said this was in 1945 in Manchuria. And this was during I think was on the 9th of the 3rd month. I think this is following the lunar calendar. So there was this family that had a daughter that was ill. She was kind of like in a coma for 6 days, 6 or 7 days. She said she didn't eat or drink any water. She didn't speak. Oh, sorry, it wasn't a coma because she was able to stare at people in a very angry manner, in a very scary manner. She just stared at people. If any of you watched the movie The Exorcist, I remember when I was young, I watched the movie, and it really put the fear of ghosts into me. The Exorcist. Maybe they shouldn't have made that movie at all, but kind of like that. Okay, in bed, not eating, not drinking, and looking really, really scary. Okay, so what happened? So Shufu asked the mother of the daughter. She said, "What happened?" So the story goes like this: the mother was passing by a cemetery, and then she saw this old woman, okay, not old. The age was about 50, middle-aged woman sitting beside a grave. She was wearing a dark blue gown, and her hair was braided in 2 pigtails. And Shufu says, these 2 pigtails went up her head at the back and hung down across her temples. That's kind of weird. And she was also wearing yellow trousers, and she was just crying by the grave. So this woman who saw her went to comfort her, but this ghost, she didn't know it was a ghost. She just looked like a middle-aged woman. Just kept on crying. She says, "Oh, my person, and was trying to look for her person. So this kind lady, the mother of the girl who was possessed, brought this girl back to the village. But at the entrance of the village, this village is like a traditional village. It has 1 gate in and walls surrounding the village. So the only way to go in is through the village. But the old woman couldn't go in the village. She refused to step in. Shufu says at that moment there was a horse cart going through the gate, and as the horse cart was moving through the gate, this old lady slipped through. Okay, and Shufu says this horse became really startled at that moment, because Shufu says horses can recognize things that people cannot see. I think dogs can do that as well. Anyone who's had pets, sometimes they act weird. They look at things or bark at things that are not there. They scare you, something like that. So Shufu says that there's probably a spirit who guarded the gate, and which is why this spirit woman, the demon woman, was not able to go in. But when the horse cart went through, the spirit was maybe distracted and it allowed the woman to slip through. That's what Shufu explained. So this lady ran to the house of the this demon woman ran to this lady's house, and she was able to like just leap over an 8-foot wall and just kept on mumbling to herself. She's looking for her person, and so this really scared the lady, and she brought the town sheriff or the person in charge of the law there, who escorted the demon woman out of the village. But when he went back to the village, the woman appeared right behind him again. He wasn't able to get rid of her. So finally, on his last try, taking this demon woman out of the village, he took out his gun and he fired 2 shots in the air. This really scared the woman, the demon woman, because Shufu says the demon woman thought it was thunder. Why was she scared of thunder? Well, in her previous incarnation as a ghost, she was destroyed by thunder. So she didn't follow the sheriff back to the village, and the sheriff thought everything was fine. So Shufu says people think that thunder is just thunder, but there's a different kind of thunder that, let me see, where's my notes? Shufu says people think that thunder has no one controlling it. And while that may be the case for ordinary thunder, Shufu says there's a special kind of thunder that is used by gods to punish the goblins, demons, and ghosts who wander throughout the world. So I guess there's some truth to, they say heaven will punish you with thunder if you do something wrong. Maybe that's where this came from. So when we went back home, they found this woman found her daughter in bed in that state, in that possessed state. And so after a week, Shufu found out what was going on, which is where we are at the story right now. So Shufu asked one of his disciples, who was able to meditate and understand what was going on, to look into the matter, and he did. And it terrified Shufu's disciple. Shufu's disciple said that this demon is very violent and can assume human form to bring trouble and injury to mankind. And he explained that the history during the Zhou dynasty, it didn't behave properly. So someone with spiritual powers actually used this demon shattering thunder to destroy the ghost. But he didn't destroy the ghost completely. There was still some essence of the spirit left, and the essence fused back into this powerful demon with spiritual abilities. Don't ask me to explain this. This is Shufu's story. And then Shufu's disciple found out that this demon has a magic weapon. It says it's an exclusive anti-thunder device. It's a black hat made out of thin membranes that cover the bodies of newborn children. I think that's not the placenta. Is it placenta? The membrane of newborn children, I guess, in the womb. And so when she wears this black hat, the thunder cannot destroy her, cannot affect her, because this kind of thunder is pure and it has a great aversion to impure or filthy things. And then the disciple, also Shufu's disciple, said she has another magic weapon, which is 2 round balls. And she says if someone gets hit with the ball, they would die immediately. And if she puts the hat on anyone, that person goes under their control, becomes possessed, which is what she did to the poor girl in bed. So what happened next was a very funny interchange where Shufu wanted to go save the girl, but Shufu's disciple didn't dare go. He said he refused. And Shufu said, when you took refuge with me, didn't you say that you would do anything? And so the poor disciple, scared out of his wits, had no choice but to go with Shufu. I guess he didn't have that much faith in Shufu. So the poor guy had to go with Shufu to go try to save the girl. Okay, so where we are in this story. Okay, let me see. So Shufu said, and this reflects Shufu's vows. He says, I would rather die than not save one of my disciples. Shufu said, first of all, I must save those who have taken refuge with me. I can't just stand by and let them die. Says, secondly, and Shufu is talking to his disciple, he says, secondly, I must save the demon. You say no one can control her, but she has committed so many offenses, there's bound to be someone who can subdue her. I don't understand that logic, because, logically that would mean more fear, but how Shufu sees it is very different. And then Shufu says, if she were to be destroyed, it would be a great pity because she has cultivated diligently for many years. That's how she was able to get her powers. And then Shufu says, even if she has enough power to kill me, I will still save her. And then Shufu says, finally, I must save all living beings in the world. And if I don't subdue her now, in the future, many people will be harmed by her. And so Shufu says, for these three reasons, I'm going to work. So Shufu went with his poor, frightened disciple in tow. So Shufu explains how he managed to reveal her actual appearance. Shufu says first they had to find the demon. He says, how do we do that? He says there are 5 kinds of Dharma in the Shuranga mantra. One is the Dharma for extinguishing calamities. If you're due to suffer a calamity and you use this Dharma, you can avert it. There's also the Dharma for creating auspiciousness, which turns inauspicious events into auspicious events. And then there's a Dharma called summoning and hooking. With this, you can catch goblins, demons, and ghosts no matter how far away they are. And then there is also the Dharma of subduing and conquering, which allows you to subdue any demon that comes. So this is the efficacy of the Shurangama mantra. Shufu says he employed these dharmas from the Shurangama mantra to summon the woman, and she revealed herself, and Shufu says she has a very intense, nauseating stench around her because she was a demon. So she tried to put her head on Shufu, but Shufu says she was not successful. She then tried to use her two ball weapons, but she couldn't hit Shufu. And when she realized that she was powerless against Shufu, she tried to run. But Shufu said he had set up an invincible boundary that would trap her. So what is this invincible boundary? It says the gods, dragons, and others of the Eightfold division of Dharma protectors. But we are hopefully next week if you have enough time. So the Dharma protectors of the Eightfold division of Dharma protectors, gods, dragons, and Gandharvas and Kinvaras and all that, was watching her from all over, all the different directions, and was restricting her movement. So when she realized she was trapped, then she knelt in front of Shufu and felt very sorry because she was overcome. She was subdued. Then Shufu spoke the Dharma to her. Shufu explained the Four Noble Truths, the 12 conditioned links, and the 6 perfections. And Shufu said she immediately understood and gave rise to the Bodhi resolve, and asked and requested to take refuge with Shufu. And Shufu gave her a refuge name as Vajra as you will maiden. So from then on, Shufu says she followed Shufu around to help people, no longer harm people, to help people. But because her basic nature was still that of a demon, unfortunately, everywhere she went, the stench, the nauseating stench accompanied her. So Shufu realized that, maybe it's not appropriate for her to go everywhere that Shufu goes. So Shufu said he sent her to Leifa Mountain in JinHe County in Jilin Province to cultivate in the exquisite cave of the 10,000 saints. So there's a cave called the exquisite cave of the 10,000 saints in the Leifa Mountains in JinHe I'm not sure if I'm getting this right, in JinHe County in Jilin Province to practice. And the interesting thing is that Shufu says he has sent many of his strange and unusual disciples there to practice. And Shufu has also visited that place himself. So this is the story of the demon woman. Yeah, so if you think that monks lead a we just sit around, nothing better to do, meditate, or what? No, for some of us, or for not us, but maybe like Shufu, it's a very interesting and sometimes scary. You have very interesting and scary incidents to tell. Okay, so that's it for this week. We have gone through. Let me show the slide again. We have looked at what the 31 planes of existence may look like in terms of their relative placement to each other. And this is just a guide. This is not definitive. It's just a guide. We have looked at the realm of the hells. We have looked at the realms of the... did we? No, we're not. We're going to do that next week. But what we did was we looked at, from the lens of the Shuranga Sutra, what are the causes to create the conditions of being reborn, from all the way from the Avicii hell, the unrelenting hell, all the way up to the heavens. And next year next week, I'm thinking of the Chinese New Year. Next week we will explore further. So Wenbo says that the Zhou dynasty is CA, BCE, before Christ. Okay, so it's in the year 1046 to 10256. No, to 1256. 1046 to 1256. Is that right? Am I reading it right? Anyway, it's about 1000 plus years ago. That's when the Zhou dynasty was. So this demon woman, after she was destroyed by thunder during this time, practiced for about 1000 years. And that's how she got a spiritual powers of the black hat and the two balls, the two black balls. Yeah. All right. Okay. So let's dedicate merit. Let me find my slide. Okay, got it. I'm going to invite everyone and bring our palms together. Let me change my sound setting. Okay. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness excuse me, of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Okay, let's do 3 bows to the Buddha. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. half bow. Bowing respect to the Venerable Master. Second bow. Third bow. Half bow. Alright, everyone. Oh, excuse me. Happy Lunar New Year. Some of you, we call it Happy Chinese New Year. And we'll see you in the next lunar year or next week. Okay, Amitabha everyone. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Me too.